This is First Web Designer Success Stories, a podcast where you will hear the most successful web design professionals share their stories about how they made it all the way to the top. Hello everyone and welcome to First Web Designer Success Stories. Our today's success story is Ouida Mac. And Ouida actually has been involved in web design since 1980 and is very versatile when it comes to technical aspects of web design. She has no problem, coding in PHP. She has expertise in e-commerce, FileMaker, and recently has also switched to WordPress, and she's even developed her own CMS systems. But now, she's gonna share her story, how she transformed her business to the mindset that lets her grow and scale her business to the point where she now even hires freelancers and trainees who are still, quite young and starting off in the web industry, and she pretty much trains them up and at the same time has capabilities of growing and scaling business because of these extra pair of hands that she gets into her business. So please, everyone, welcome Ouida Mac on our show. Hello, Ouida, how are you?
Hi, James. Very good, thank you.
I have to say big thanks for being able to make it and agreeing on sharing your success story and exactly how you made it in web design industry all the way to the top. So perhaps I think it would be great if you could share with our listeners a bit of your background and what was your situation before you attended 10K bootcamp? What was your business? What was your situation in web design industry?
Okay, well, honestly, James, I've been a little techie nerd computer geek since I was a little kid. My dad was into electronics and I started early and I started programming early. And I'm also an artist, so artists and tech came together and I was a web developer and mostly I worked for other people. But when I started with the 10K program, for me, honestly, it was taking it to the next level from being, someone else's contractor to starting, because I've gained years of knowledge and starting to ask for the price that I'm really worth for what I've learned, and really adding a next level of learning about business so I'm worth more to people.
Right.
And so it's trying to make myself a virtual agency now, and I'm starting to pull together talent from all over the place, including the 10K program. So things have really changed for me a lot, and it means, that I'm more my own boss than ever before.
Yeah. All right. Sounds like there's been a lot of improvement in your web design, business. But just may I ask, what were your expectations, and what was the main reason why you attended bootcamp? What did you want to get out of it in the first place, in particular?
I knew I needed to know more about business, and in particular about asking for the price I'm worth and web developers. Also, really, actually, I think I heard first about the 10K program through Spence Foreman at 1WD-TV. And then I saw a video with Spence and Brent Weaver from 10K U Gurus. And it just rang so true. It felt like he was getting to the heart of the matter, and that it wasn't all, I already had the technology down, but I wasn't asking the right questions in terms of, I was like a Xerox machine. Anything the client needed, I could do.
Right. But without valuing yourself.
Right. Instead of asking the really important questions about how to really make a breakthrough for them so that I'm worth the money, like big picture, eagle eye view. So I started to look at things differently, and it just rang true. And I wanted to learn that kind of stuff. But right. I'll tell you the real surprise. What I didn't expect was the 10K, like my fellow students, and the small group leaders like John Hinshaw that I met. And there were just so many people of this really dynamic mindset of, instead of like what a lot of developers are out there, they're really afraid to collaborate because they're afraid, oh, you're going to steal my customer. Instead, this has got a mentality of, that there's plenty of work for all. is, and if you're really getting the big picture and you bring value to your customer, then you can ask for more money, and we can learn off each other. And the learning environment for the 10K online, and there's just so much stuff. I'm still catching up with all the stuff that's available to learn through the course because the forum's open. So,
Yeah.
and I just love, that's the best part about, if I can go on, the 10K and paying for that program is not only do you have like all these resources available to you long after,
Mm.
and
Lifetime access, isn't it?
yeah, and that I knew about, and that sold me. Plus Brent, and like he was just hitting the right note that I felt like, okay, this is the change I need. And but like I said, the real surprise was my fellow 10Kers. So like
Mm.
Brent really believes in accountability, and I kind of like need someone to make sure I'm doing my homework. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
For example, I'll tell you, James, there was a self-esteem problem for me of getting to the point of asking for the money I was worth. And what I found out was I'm already doing this stuff that's a lot of high value, but there was a self-esteem issue. So, and I just couldn't make this breakthrough. And I don't think I'm the only one out there like that. Someone very talented who just can't make this emotional breakthrough to ask for the money you're worth. What changed it for me is the accountability in the course made me take the steps that I promised to make and try out and model new behavior that I heard other 10Kers and my mentors talking about. And they like were handling conversations. And that's what it was about. It was handling these conversations, which I had anxiety about, and so couldn't make these important conversations.
Okay.
So finally, I just had to do it because of accountability. That worked for me. So I had these conversations the right way, and the behavior of my customers seemed to change.
Sounds.
And suddenly they weren't treating me like I was a Xerox machine. They really were valuing the other knowledge that I had.
Actually, yes, I'd like to go a bit more into specifics of your value and what changed after the bootcamp. So maybe you can present more of the contrast. What were you thinking of yourself, your services before bootcamp? What was your valuation as in actual dollars, and what is it like now?
Okay.
What it took, was it just a mindset change, or maybe more specific as well?
All right, it was an absolute mindset change, and I think the 10K program is all about changing your mindset. Okay, but if you're asking for numbers, I might be a drastic example. I don't think I'm a typical example of some 10Kers. I was extremely low. In fact, I was so low that Brent asked me at one point. I said, "Are you in the U.S.?" Okay, I was charging $15 to $25 an hour, like I was at someone's graphic design table. Graphic designers right now are getting that, but I do PHP. I do WordPress, but I do any PHP. I've written my own CMS. I really like FileMaker. I'm an expert in databases and technology. So before Brent, I was so centered around what is like to master so many technologies. I've just been doing it so long. There's a lot I master. And I always thought it was about being able to solve anything technologically. So here's the thing, as I spent all my time reading more and more of that, and guess what's changed? Suddenly now I'm reading online. I'm reading things like how online e-commerce businesses are working smarter. What kind of pages are they? Why? Because not just my e-commerce pages, and I have some online stores. I'm my own customer. I have stitchdragon.com, which is a knitting website. But I build CMSs and stuff for other people too. But now I'm not all about the technology. I'm looking at what's the smarter business strategy.
Okay, it's actually really great that you've gone to this point now, because you are actually not the only one. There are actually a lot of, say, passionate designers, passionate coders who, just like you, have a lot of, technical knowledge or, skills to design, and they would happily code for many, many hours or design for many, many hours without realizing that that's not the way they will actually grow and scale the business. So you got to think more like entrepreneur, more like a, businesswoman. So maybe you can go into that a bit, yeah.
Yes, Brent has one-on-ones, conversations with his students in different places in the course. And on one of I think the first 101 conversations we had, he said something to me, if I can remember correctly, it was, you've been building yourself a job, not a business.
That's
And
right. Yeah.
he also said to me, if you really care about these customers that you're committed to, because I feel very, very strongly like loyalty to my customers. I want them to be okay long term. And so I do a lot of the things that are higher value things I should be charging for without them realizing, like trying to think of their long term. But I'm educating myself now better in business about that. But I try to think of this long term stuff for them. And Brent made me realize that I'm not doing them any favors if I'm not charging enough or thinking long term about my business. So
Wow.
if my business is more stable, then they're going to have me more longer to come.
That's it. Yeah.
So I got to start thinking about how to make my business more stable. And there are times as a freelancer when we're overloaded with too many projects and we don't have enough people to
That's it.
collaborate with and send work out, and there's just too much work and we're going insane. And then there are other times where we just don't have enough work, but we have the right talent.
Right. So maybe you can share, if you don't mind, share maybe the typical web project that you're taking on. How does the development happen? Do you hire everyone? Do you delegate everything, or do you just lead the project, or you still how do you make sure that the project gets done and so fast that the business keeps on growing?
Right now, I oversee the discovery and the project, and really the work. I usually do the lion's share of the work and most of the technical stuff. But I'm starting to farm out now. For example, I do a lot of WordPress, so for that, the iterative part of getting the content from the client and getting into the website after I've set up the core.
Right.
Like, or any, CSS styling for the website, any customization, any plugins, anything that they need. So I'll set up the core, and then I'll assign the rest of the project to some of my trainees, people that are learning it, because I remember when I was young mentors. So some of these are very, some of them are very young people that I see some talent in. And I have always taken some students, sometimes, I can't help it because I enjoy doing this. And then if they take it off on their own business and go their merry way later, so I hire them as a freelancer and I teach them a little bit. But then I also have other professionals that I've known from like graphic design, my graphic design background. So I know a lot of graphic designers because I was in advertising for 25 years. That's how I made my money before I was doing programming full time. And now I've got all these people I've met in the 10K program, like Deborah Scarpa and Gretchen, and there are just so many, I can't list them all. And these people, they have various expertises. Some of them are one-man bands, like I'm been, and I'm trying to go to virtual agencies. Some of them are virtual agencies trying to go to a larger agency. And
Yeah.
so, but I was used to working at like little contractor pricing, and I had to come up to date. I hadn't updated my prices in a long time. So I was $15 to $25 an hour, and now I'm $75 an hour. And Brent says that it's like what's a 200% increase, right?
Yeah.
So he says with that percentage of increase, you could lose a lot of clients. But the reality for me is I didn't lose any clients because they can't replace me for that price.
That's it.
And so instead, I'm getting new clients at a fairer price.
But actually, let me go one step back. That you mentioned about your peers and the communication inside that bootcamp. I'd really love to hear your experience. What was it like? Two parts of it, actually. What was the communication like with your mentors, whether it was just email communication or something more, as well as with your fellow peers? What did you learn from them, and how were you able to connect with them? What is the setup like?
Well, at first we all had email communication, and then when we started to we got into the course and we were able to sign in, there are a couple places that you interact. You're given missions and homework and video tutorial from Brent, so you're taking in information, and then there's a meeting. And that meeting is either small or large group, and it depends. So the small groups are about 10 people. So how many people are in the course, that's how many small groups they have. And the large group is when...
Intimate,
Yeah, and then when the large group is when everyone gets together and you start to find out about who the other small group folks are and who the other mentors are. And so so you've got your small group mentor, John Hinshaw was mine for the 10K bootcamp. And then, of course, Brent Weaver himself was leading the large groups. And with each of them you get one-on-one time phone call as well as email as well as
Oh,
in these video. So
right, right.
you get Brent via recorded video, and the lessons are awesome. And then you get him live in a large group. He talks to you on the phone. He's very responsive with emails, and the same thing with John Hinshaw. And surprisingly, the same thing with all my fellow students. So once you're in the website, you also have access to the forum, which is like a blog posting sort of ongoing conversation between the students and the small and large, the small group leaders and the mentors. Um, so I enjoy learning, and I learn by all kinds of ways, whether it's books, video, online, reading articles. I just love to learn. I've enjoyed school. Not everyone has, but this environment for the 10K is, I think, the most amazing learning environment I've ever had. So you've got all these lessons in the videos and the forums, and then there's also the directory, which if for your class you have access to your fellow 10Kers information. You can email them and you can call them, and I've talked to a lot of them on the phone, and it's very energizing. And I've gotten some of the greatest things I've gotten from some of my fellow 10Kers is, one of the neat things is everybody's sharing like what kind of tools they use online.
Oh, actually,
And so,
yes. Brent showed me when he took me through a little, virtual walkthrough through the bootcamp. He showed me something called 10K Drive. No one's really mentioned to me what was that like, and can you
okay,
mention how useful
so
was that?
that's one of the subsections of the website, and in the Drive area, people freely share all these resources. For example, you could type in the word proposal and get different people's like actual proposals that they've sent. Some of them
So
are
actual winning proposals that they won
winning
clients with.
proposals that they've done for the 10K class.
hmm
Other ones are proposal outlines that they use in their business because they're already selling 10K. I mean,
Yeah,
some of
yeah.
the small group mentors and stuff. John Hinshaw has some wonderful ones, but it's not just proposals. It's all kinds of documents that other people have cleverly used in their business, and they're sharing them freely. And that's part of what's so amazing about this learning environment. But they also, even in the classes, they have conversations about their businesses, and it's you've got to keep this stuff confidential. These are your fellow classmates, but at the same time there's a free sharing of information, and we ask each other advice, and we're telling each other about the projects and stuff that we're really trying to do. And so we get real life feedback, and lots of times we think of things in the project we're working of we've never thought of before. And it might be an online resource. Hey, try out this website as to help you with this project, or go to the Drive and I just uploaded this document. Check that out. This will really help you with this particular project, either pricing it out. It was just amazing, and you have ongoing access to that all the time. And I will tell you that I try to keep up, but between the Drive and what people are uploading, plus all the stuff they're saying on the forum, plus there were not only the lessons that Brent gave, but a lot of other like special interest conversations and videos that are up there. So there's just so many resources. It's going to take me a while, maybe another year, to go through everything and even get to know everybody that's out there, and all the amazing resources that I have. So, but the most important thing I think is that even with all this information, Brent really makes sure, like in the course of discovery, that you're doing the most important thing. So it's easy to get distracted with all these wonderful resources, but it's also really easy to find these little resources while you're staying on task with the most important thing for your client and for your business. So it was pretty energizing. I really enjoyed it. I guess you can tell.
Oh yeah, because who couldn't tell? Excitement is just shining from you. Just one little thing you mentioned about 10K Drive, that you were able to actually access proposals that actually had won, actually the 10K. That's something we haven't mentioned in this podcast yet. What is the ultimate goal of this 10K bootcamp? What is the main purpose? What is the end result everyone should achieve?
I will tell you, at first I thought, and I guess it really still is, find your 10K plus project. Not that you're just charging more, just that you're really bringing to the project the types of things that are high value stuff, that it's worth that you're getting the big picture. and that you're going to make your client enough money that they can easily pay. So it's a no-brainer for them if you're making them enough money that they can easily pay you this high value work. So that's really the short-term goal, and I thought that was the sole goal of the course. But since then, I've realized really the goal was this mindset change.
To start thinking like a business person again, right?
To start thinking like a business person, and some of the really wonderful like insights that Brent has had, my fellow 10Kers have had. I couldn't have hired better counsel, to help me make the change that was needed to change the way my business worked, to go from periods of the roller coaster of starvation to overload.
Nice. Sounds definitely full and rich of resources and live experiences. I think it would be worth wrapping this whole thing up with you sharing something you just mentioned but didn't go too deep into, was the accountability aspect. How did they at Bootcamp make sure that you actually are on top of all the goals and tasks and you actually get somewhere? Because we need someone to keep us accountable,
Okay, even like the mentorship is everywhere in layers, and the accountability is everywhere in layers. So you've got everything from the people at the top to the one-on-one. So in terms of accountability, they assign you like a one-on-one peer in your small group. And then you have accountability when you report to your small group, each small group meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you've got accountability on assignments. Some of the missions include a submission of certain files, that you've done certain discovery with your current clients, or found a certain niche for whatever it is you're working on. Near the end, making changes to my own online persona. For example, whole new things I didn't like. I stayed away from LinkedIn like the plague, I'm embarrassed to say. But I found out what other 10Kers were using really intelligently.
Right.
So the accountability was at different layers, from a one-on-one peer to small group and onto the projects and stuff, and in the forums. And lots of times your fellow classmate would say, I'm going to call you, and they would actually call you on the telephone.
Right.
And then, of course, you had your one-on-one with your small group leader, on the telephone with your small group leader, and once in a while, a debrief with Brett. Like, I think it was a couple times in the course of
as well as the video, I think you mentioned. Video.
Yeah.
Nice one. Well, clearly you've had, a rich experience in all sort of different aspects of this bootcamp. But one question...
I have to say, the accountability works for me so well that even though the course isn't going on, I try to make Fridays my... I'll admit this. I try to make Fridays my 10K boot camp at home thing, where I do the next. I get my head out of what's all the little projects I'm working on and getting the little projects done to what is the next thing I need to do for my business? What's missing or not working? What resource do I need, or what customers do I need to call, so that I make sure I'm doing sales and not just production? Because you know what I'm saying? Because at this stage in my business, I'm both sales and production. So I'm paying enough attention to the big picture for my own business and to my customers. So like once a week, I have my own little personal 10K accountability. even though nobody's here, and because I learned that in the course.
It's rubbed off on you, hasn't it?
Yeah, because it works for me.
No, that's it. You wouldn't do what doesn't work. Now, one thing I actually ask to all past graduates from this bootcamp is a little sort of like a challenge. If someone came up to you and asked, why should I enroll to this bootcamp, what would be that one little aspect, one little point you would use to sort of recommend them this bootcamp? It could be on any of the points we talked about or anything that we didn't talk about.
Because you're going to get your money's worth. You're going to get your money's back. If you think about the price of the course and the change that it's going to make in how intelligently you run your business, how intelligently you service your customer, and therefore the price you can ask for and easily get, that you're going to pay for the course. Even if you don't make your 10K, you're going to pay for your course. I mean, right. I don't see how you can't. I mean, that's a personal opinion. That's my personal opinion. I think it's totally worth it. And then the ongoing resource in the forum makes it worth more money all the time, like an investment.
No, you are actually not the first one who mentions the investment aspect of it, that it's an investment of good return. And obviously brings me back always to the quote of invest in yourself. Your career is the engine of your wealth. So yeah, your self-growth and this kind of education is the best thing you could invest in.
I'll tell you, it was a stretch for me to get this course. I don't know how many people out there where it's easy for them, or if it is a stretch for them. It was a stretch for me to pay for this course, and they've got a payment program even thing, and I made all my payments. But it was a stretch for me. It was totally worth it. It was the best thing I could have done.
Yeah.
I would have hated to have to wait until the next boot camp. So I'd say make that stretch and get into the first boot camp you can.
Nice one, thanks. Before I let you go, I hope you don't mind if I'll quickly share with our listeners how basically Brent, the organizer, the creator of this 10K Bootcamp, is organizing a free 90-minute live stream summit called 10K Summit. And that's basically a free online event where you will be able to learn the secrets web professionals are using to sell higher value projects worth over $10,000 to transform their business and life. The whole event will be hosted by Brent himself, as well as 3 mentors and 3 successful graduates from the past 10K programs. And to access this live event, all you got to do is visit URL 10k.firstwebdesigner.com. That's 10 in number, as a number, and K letter. So that's 10k.firstwebdesigner.com. And for our today's success story, I think it would be worth if you mentioned again where people can find you, what exactly you do. You deserve a little plug on our show as well.
Actually, you can find me at my newly designed website, because I am a new virtual agency, at OuidaMac.com. That's OuidaMac.com. But really, if you want to find out what I've been up to, James, in the past, I've sometimes signed some of my websites Ouida Mac, so you can Google Ouida Mac and you will find me all over the place, from Facebook to whatever, by that signature. So,
thanks a lot, Ouida, for sharing your success story.
Thank you, James.
And thanks a lot, guys, for listening. I hope to see you on our next episode. Thank you.